Right.
He did it with Melvin where he had to choke, and he looked at the camera and stuck his tongue out, smiled real big, and then, it was beautiful. He's got that asshole thing about him that you love, like Tito Ortiz and Brock Lesnar. I mean, that sells tickets. People hit the remote button when he's fighting.
People love the shit talkers. You know what I mean? The guys even in boxing. You know what I mean? It's like Mayweather, who just talks so much shit, and you want to see him get his ass beat. You just want to see somebody take him out. But it doesn't happen because he's better than everybody else. I'm not saying Nate Diaz is better than everybody else.
I was going to say Mayweather's on a different level because that guy doesn't
I know.
Yeah.
But, there's guys in boxing that just tons of guys in boxing that are just shit talkers, you know what I mean? You just want to see them get knocked out, but they're so above everybody else. This doesn't really refer to Nate Diaz, obviously, because Nate Diaz is like you said, Mayweather's in a league of his own, and as far as boxing is concerned. By the way, that fight, we're going to talk about that fight. You got that in here or no?
Yeah, I don't have details of it, but I remembered enough to talk about it. Mayweather's becoming this generation's Muhammad Ali. Everybody hates his guts while he's developing his persona, and now they're slowly starting to realize it is just that. It's a persona. The guy works his ass off in training, harder than you would ever. It's not like he's just so talented that he doesn't have to try. The dude works hard, and the results reflect the work he puts into it, and it just happens to be a level above everybody else, amazing, and completely braggadocious. But for this generation, braggadocious is showing off diamonds and holding up wads of money, whereas Muhammad Ali and his era, it was just being out.
Oh, shoot. Oh, no. Okay, let me get Matt Boone back here. Matty B, I'm sorry about that.
Outspoken. You mute me when I say the word outspoken. What are you giving me a hint there?
Well, I had a problem in the chat room, so I had to get rid of that. It happened to me last week too when that happened. Whatever. Guys in the chat room, you got to register now. WZROnline.com. God, some people are fucking idiots, aren't they, man?
Oh.
Some people are just fucking idiots. Man.
Oh, stop it.
Yeah, God, I'd love to meet this guy in New York City or whatever it was, but whatever. WZROnline.com. WZROnline.com/chat. There's some people that just want to whoop their ass. You know what I'm saying, man? And that guy's one of them. But WZR Online. What?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish plug.
I already did it. WZROnline.com/chat.
Yeah, but by the way, at the Mayweather fight, Triple H was right in the fucking. he was walking right next to him. All the way to the ring. He stood out. It's Triple H. The guy's got the giant beard, and he looks like fucking Zeus or something. And he walks out with him, and he's standing in his corner in the ring while they're doing the introductions. He's clapping his hands. He's standing there. Doesn't have a friend in the world. It was very funny to see him out of context like that.
Did you see the weigh-ins where they...
I heard about it. I didn't see it, no.
Oh,
what happened?
My God. Yeah, there's a YouTube video.
Are you ready or something?
Michael Buffer brought him out, and he said something like, "Are you ready?" and just booed out of the building. We actually had that video up. I put it on WZROnline.com, but that was horrible. They just treated him like dirt at the
Well, let me tell you something, and I'm gonna turn heel here on WZR by saying this, but I love boxing, I love MMA, and I love pro wrestling. And when Mayweather comes on pro wrestling,
the crowd... love pro wrestling. Get the fuck out of here.
Dude, I still watch the DVDs. I still watch the shoot interviews. I don't like the current...
No doubt.
I don't love the current product. The same way I don't like the current product of the heavyweight division in boxing, or I don't like that UFC won't sign Fedor. There's certain things I don't like about it, but in general, I love pro wrestling. I love boxing. I love MMA. And when Floyd Mayweather or somebody comes to... or Evander Holyfield, I remember when they come to WWE, the crowd shits all over them because it's a different world. And I thought it was a fucking work of art to see Triple H come in there, try and be so confident with his stupid catchphrase, which he blatantly stole from Michael Buffer and did a parody of, and expect the entire boxing media. He's at the weigh-ins. He's not at the show. There's a couple thousand fans there, but it's mostly media and people, and he's going to do his little catchphrase and expect everybody to react like it's a fucking Raw crowd. It ain't a Raw. That was a lack of judgment on that part.
Yeah, it was dumb, but not only that, the majority of people at that weigh-ins and the majority of people probably at the fight hated Mayweather as it is, and that's the guy that he's walking to the ring. So they're probably just like, wow, we already hate Mayweather. Now this pro wrestler is going to come out here and do his wrestling catchphrases at a boxing weigh-in. It's two totally different things, you know what I mean? So it was just to have him booed out of the building. He almost deserved it. You know what I mean?
It's funny that boxing would go that far, too. Like, wrestling, you can understand them reaching out to Mayweather because they want the coverage in sports media. Right. But what's the advantage of a boxing promoter saying, all right, now let's have this wrestling guy do his catchphrase. Maybe we'll get some wrestling coverage for this fight. You know, wrestling fans don't give a shit about boxing. I mean, let's be honest. MMA is hard enough of a sell to a wrestling fan. Boxing with little tiny guys, you know, Mayweather's the best pound-for-pound fighter in the sport, but a wrestling fan doesn't give a shit what pound-for-pound means. They just see a little midget in there that's, you know, real fast and defensive as opposed to Mike Tyson knockout guy, you know?
Oh, dude, we say it time and time again that, I mean, you would think, you know, I mean, you've got a ring, you've got a wrestling ring, wrestling, boxing, UFC, kind of the same. Well, there's a certain age group that it tickles all those feathers of all those companies. Yeah, boxing, wrestling, MMA. But I mean, traditionally, wrestling is more younger, boxing is more older. MMA is becoming like right in the middle, where it's like the 20-something-year-olds, and that's the perception. But in general, there's a mixed bag where everybody likes wrestling, everybody likes boxing. Everybody, if you like that style of entertainment, you like all of that stuff. Listen, when we grew up, right, and we were 16, 17, 18 years old, we grew up in that attitude area back in the day where wrestling was awesome. You know, wrestling was great. They were more edgy. Our teen
years, yeah. But I mean, I was growing up on the Hulkster and Say Your Vitamins and Stinger with his blonde. And then, yeah, when I got to be old enough to really comprehend what was going on, then all of a sudden it took this giant turn like you're talking about with Stone Cold and The Rock and all that, you know, got a lot more real.
Those were the days that we grew up on where, you know, the Austin would drive beer trucks and things. And, I mean, it was just a lot more edgy. And now it's like when you compare the Attitude Era to this new PG-rated era, I mean, it's leaps and bounds different. You know?
My roommate came home from work yesterday, and I'm watching Raw. I'm doing play-by-play. He comes in during the Cedric the Entertainer versus Chavo match. And he's watching it, and he knows enough to know that they have a celebrity every week to host. And he's like, who's hosting this week? I said, Cedric the Entertainer. I said, that's him right there under the mask, actually. He's like, what? And he watches it for a few minutes. He watches him go into the ring and the bigger guy come out. And he just looked at me and he said, this is fucking stupid. And he just turned around and walked out.
It's crazy.
He was like, what?
I mean, I don't have the balls to invite somebody over here, even if wrestling's on, if pro wrestling is on. I mean, I can't have anybody in the room. Nobody can watch this shit with me. You know, I mean, I can barely watch it myself. You know what I mean? Let alone have somebody else here trying to sit through a 2-hour wrestling program. I mean, I hate to come on.
I'm going out at 9 o'clock tonight Eastern time to avoid having somebody sit here and watch me do this show right now because I would be too affected by somebody else's presence staring at me, trying to sound enthusiastic about last night's Raw. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, man.
And it sucks that we have to come on here on a weekly basis and say,
we're closeted wrestling fans. It's sad, and that's our job, you know.
You know, it is, and that's the thing about it is I wouldn't do this radio show. Well, I'd probably do a UFC radio show for UFC fans. But
absolutely.
I mean, it comes down to, all right, you have to do a radio show, so you have to watch the product. You have to watch Raw.
Yes, it makes you money, whereas UFC, you have like kind of a passion about it because it's awesome and it evokes real emotion as opposed to disgust and hatred and just like, what is this crap? I can't wait to tear this up on the show and just make fun of it.
But think about all the young fans. I mean, I'm sure we have
they love it. We don't share that mindset anymore. I mean, I'm completely out of touch with that fan. That's why I don't try and claim it to be anything I'm not, because I know damn well the wrestling fans that really, really have the way we enjoy the Attitude Era, that enjoy this era. Right. I can't connect with them on any level. I mean, I can tell them what a good match is mechanically, but I can't tell them what to enjoy storyline-wise because they're a whole different breed. You know what I mean?
But how do you come on? When we come on here and do a radio show, and you try to note the positive things that happen on wrestling. You try not to shit all over it, but when you have
you kind of got to go out of your way though,
and you have contract signings, and you have just John Cena, corny promos. It's like, Jesus Christ. I mean, is there anything that we can relate to? Anything for the older fans?
Well,
you know what I mean?
If you're being fair, the Cena Orton contract signing as a segment itself, it's been done so many times, the contract signing. So that as itself, you're already going into it expecting it to be what it was, etc. Whereas if you're like a fan of this generation and you're not really familiar with it, it's not so played out to you that you're like, oh, here's another contract signing where they can't touch each other, so it's real intense verbal stuff, and, you know, Cena's going to try and be funny like The Rock and then take it serious and sell the match at the very end. I mean, as a segment itself, it was okay. It was just, It went a little long, and it didn't need all the goofy shit that they put in there. But that's the kind of edge. Whereas our days, the edge was attitude. It was cuss words. It was, violence. It was this or that. That was the edge, the slant on a segment like that. Whereas today, the slant, the edge on a segment like that is, it's got to be funny for the little kids for a moment, and then it's got to be serious for them to really want to see the match by the end of it. So that
when you grow up in that attitude era, and then to see it now, I mean, it's just it's unbelievable.
Our generation is going through something that that wrestling fans have never experienced, because wrestling was so cartoonish always as far as the big stage, New York, etc. And then in the South, it was more realistic and more cool, but it's never been to the point where it was so edgy, like ECW or Stone Cold. And then those fans who grew up on that, there's only our group of fans, our age right now, is the only people who grew up on that kind of wrestling. No other wrestling generation.
Our group of fans right now are likely no longer watching pro wrestling.
Our group of fans are buying UFC on this past Saturday night. That's what our group of fans.
Right, but our group of fans for the radio show are probably a lot younger and probably still
it's the current generation.
You know what I mean? And it's horrible to have to come on here and say, what I grew up with and what we're talking about
right now. It was
so
much better. Yeah.
So much. I mean, the stuff that we're talking about now is so much worse than it was back in the day. I mean, it's leaps
But the thing
down.
is, and I don't want to toot our own horn too much, we're very honest people, broadcasters, whatever you want to call us. We get on here and we tell you exactly what we're thinking. We don't censor it to make it sound a certain way. Like, it's so many shows you listen to, you get the idea that they think this is what a show is supposed to sound like, and they've got to form themselves to that formula. Whereas we come on here, we're very caught up to date on UFC, WWE, TNA. Event happens, we talk about it. Event's coming up, we talk about it. Something big happens in the news, we talk about it. But we come at you completely honest. We're two guys that says, hey, we heard this. This guy called us. This source told us this. We saw this story on this other website. We watched this event on pay-per-view. We watched this TV. We went to this event live in the arena. And we just tell you what we think, and we tell you what we know, and we're honest about it. So it's easy to dissect a show where even if you're not a fan, you can appreciate what's good, and you can still tell somebody what is insanely bad. And you know what I mean? Like, I can watch Raw, and I can tell you, anytime Jericho touches a microphone, good.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah. Anytime Hornswoggle's in the ring, bad. I mean, I'm with it enough to tell you that stuff. You know what I mean? But as far as Cena Orton, is Cena Orton like Austin Rock back in the day? If it really is to this generation of fans, then I just feel sorry for him, because it's not even fucking close.
No, you know what? Exactly. I mean, that's a great comparison. Cena Orton in this day and age compared to Rock Austin in our day and age. Not even close. It's just not even close by any means at all.
It's not even a fair comparison, if you want to be. It's like embarrassing to even compare the two.
Yeah, but I hate. I mean, other wrestling shows or other wrestling programs that are on there or whatever. You know what I mean? People that come out and try to act like this stuff is good, or I mean, I just hate that. It's not.
They think you care more than you do, but that generation of fans probably does care. So I mean, they're probably doing it the right way. It's really hard because we're in that transition where we're growing out of wrestling, but we still cover it for a living. And every once in a while, a storyline will catch us, like Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho. We'll get back into it, but very rarely are those moments where you have those programs